Hello and welcome to a special episode of Bible Smack. Alright, very nonchalant day. My baby's cooking the bacon for dinner and we're just chilling out. I'm responding to two videos and basically there's like 10 questions that Christians can't answer. And then there's like 10 more questions that Christians can't answer. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and give an answer to them. Guy's name is TruthSurge, so hopefully we can find you. I did send him the blog version of this, and so I'll just kind of go over it really quickly. Question 1. When Noah's Ark landed, how did the kangaroos make it to Australia? Answer. Land bridges. Okay, they make these little faces every time they do it. Okay. So, they were like land bridges in the days of Peleg. It talks about... You had an ice age after the flood, so all that water's stored up, and then it kind of melts down over a couple hundred years. So in between that time, you have these land bridges that would get swallowed up, like from Alaska to Russia, all that kind of stuff. Question 2. If the ark was covered in pitch or tar to make it watertight, it also made it airtight. How did the animal survive living 1 or 2 days, living in complete darkness without any fresh air? Remember, the rain lasted 40 days and 40 nights. Noah couldn't open the window in the top. Now, of course, he has 120 years to do this, and so he might have been able to figure out something that we don't know about. If you have 120 years to do something, that's just one task, and you live about 500 years before that, yeah, you're pretty smart. You can figure out some of this stuff. But also, it's kind of interesting to note that they found ancient amber, and in the ancient amber, it says that the pre-flood Earth had 50% higher oxygen levels, and we can see this with the giant animals and stuff that just wouldn't exist today. Question 3. Let me get this real quick. Since Adam and Eve didn't know right from wrong before eating of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, why did God then punish them for something they didn't understand they were doing? Okay, read Genesis 3:2. Eve did know exactly what was going on, and we wouldn't know unless she told the devil. Okay, so that one's obvious. Question 4. Why would God place a forbidden tree in the garden so close to his innocent creation and allow Satan to tempt him in eating from it, all the while looking on without doing a thing to prevent it? All right, well, he wanted them to be personally responsible because responsibility is good. Okay, and he, of course, warned Adam not to do it and gave him every tree. And you look at Genesis 2:17, that argues that one. All right, question 5. When the women went to Jesus' tomb, empty tomb, was the stone already rolled away, or did an angel roll it away? I said an angel rolled it away. Matthew's account is vague, but reconciles with the other texts. Matthew 28:28, you look at that. And then question 6. On the first day of the week, when Jesus rose from the dead, how many women went to the tomb and which ones? All right, at least 4. Okay, you read Matthew 28:1, Mary Magdalene and Mary, and then Luke 24:10 has Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Mary the mother of James, and other women. And then in Mark 16 it says Mary Magdalene, Mary, and Salome. So that's where we get that. And Mary is isolated in the book of John when she does it alone to tell of the account in the garden. Okay, it tells us what's going on there. Question 7. Okay, how many donkeys did Jesus ride in his triumphal entry in Jerusalem? Was it 1 donkey like Mark and John say, or was it 2 donkeys like Matthew said? Well, the difference is between a colt and an ass. Now, I'm using it in the technical jargon, okay? That's the, donkey. But basically, you got a horse, colt, donkey, A. All right, and that's Matthew 21:2. Go into the village, over against yourself, straightway you shall find an A. Or I can say it. Ass tied and a colt with her, loose them. Okay. Question 9. Okay, Matthew and Luke Both provide genealogies for Jesus, going all the way back to Adam. Using both of these lists, who was Joseph's father? Okay, Matthew shows Joseph's biological father. Luke shows Joseph's father-in-law in order to show Jesus' legal status as Christ. Joseph couldn't have legal status through his father, seeing that he is of the line of the Jaconian or Coniah, either which way, who was cursed. Okay, so Coniah's line was cursed, and so he had to have a legal line outside of a biological line. So it shows his father-in-law to show Christ's legal status. And you read that in Luke 2:39. Question 10. Was Jesus crucified on the first day of Passover like the Gospel of John says, or the next day like the other three Gospels say? Jesus' crucifixion day. And let's see here. I have a whole kind of big article thing. It kind of talks about that. It's a long answer. Let's see, I'll just say this. It says, note that John says that this was not the regular Sabbath, but it was a high day. The Jews observed several high days, including Holy Convocation, Exodus 12:15, and their seasons. Concerning the feast days, Leviticus 23, 4 through 8 says this. And it says the feast of the Passover, the high Sabbath, and the Feast of the Unleavened Bread, another high Sabbath, were celebrated on April 14th and 15th, respectively. Sunset initiated the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Nisan 15 was a high day, a non-Saturday Sabbath. The first month of the Jewish year is the month of Nisan or Vid. Let's see here. The day that Jesus died was the preparation day, Wednesday, of the Passover celebration on Thursday. There's just a lot of stuff on this article, so you just check out the link that I'll put on this YouTube video, and it'll explain it all. All right, question 1 of the next 10. Okay, the Bible tells us that God sacrificed His only Son so that we could go to heaven. But the Bible also says that He raised His Son back from the dead. Again, if God didn't really lose His Son, then how is that a sacrifice? Let's see here. He really did die. Okay, He just could not be damned. Okay, in other words, His spirit was not guilty because His spirit did not sin. But He took the punishment of sin, which is death. The value of His death was being the sinless Son of God. If regular people can be resurrected, then there's nothing wrong with resurrecting the Messiah. And Jesus did raise people from the dead before He did this. Question 2. If God is all-knowing and all-powerful and has everything under control, why does He keep asking for money every Sunday? Whoa! It says offerings are free will in the New Testament, and they are taxed money in the Old Testament. Giving money is good for mankind and promotes good economics and charity. Alright, question 3. The Bible says, or 13, the Bible says that God regretted making Saul king, but if that's the case, doesn't that mean that God didn't know the future? Because if He knew that He was going to regret making Saul king, He wouldn't have done it in the first place. Alright, basically He regretted Israel demanding a human king, but He gave them what they wanted because God made man free, since God is free in His image. Okay, since God's free, man's in the image, man wants to do what he wants to do. He says, hey, you got dominion of the earth, go for it. And so sometimes they say, well, no, God, we got a better plan. And that's when God's like, oh, you're just dumb. I'm telling you the answer. Okay, question 4. If every complex design requires a designer, then who designed God? Alright, God is not a complex designer. That's right, God was not made. He was not created. He is not limited. That is the definition of God. So when you say something else like, oh, there's a limited God, who created God? Well, then you're stupid because you don't understand the definition of God. You don't know what you're talking about. Next question. Alright, question 5. If nothing can come from nothing, then how did God create the universe out of nothing? Alright, and this is one of those basic logic things. Nothing is nothing. It's not a space. Okay, that's a common misunderstanding. Okay, you say, there's space. No, there's not even space. There's not even time. Okay, nothing's not there. Okay. It says nothing is not a substance. The Godhead was the original substance. God is everywhere, okay? God is not affected by time. God's not affected by space and stuff. It's just God. In the beginning, God, okay? In fact, beginning doesn't begin. There's God and then begin, okay? Time starts after God. All right. So, question 6. If something can come from nothing, why do we need God to create the universe? It can't. Alright, question 7. If everyone who ever lived prior to Jesus could get into heaven by simply believing God like Abraham did, doesn't that make Jesus a little superfluous? Alright. There's a difference between heaven and Abraham's bosom. Christ was the first in the resurrection. Okay? In the temple, you have the holy place, and then you have the holiest of holy places, okay, which people didn't go, okay, at that time, because the veil was separating them. When Christ dies, the veil is torn. And you read 1 Corinthians 15:20. Now Christ arose from the dead and become the first fruits of them that slept. Question 8. The Bible tells that God isn't willing that anybody should perish, but His holy word has been corrupted through the ages of mankind. So doesn't that mean that God either allowed it to be corrupted or He was unable to keep it from being corrupted? Okay. It wasn't. It has not been corrupted in the Textus Receptus, or the traditional Greek text, and the Hebrew Masoretic text, the traditional Hebrew Old Testament. It is completely available to all the world in the KJV. Alright, and then there's another thing, okay? You know, this crappy Christianity that's always compromising things. They're the ones who are screwing it up when it comes to answering these questions. Alright, so question 9. In the book of James, God instructs Christians on what they should do when they get sick. They are supposed to pray and lay hands on the sick person, and God promises to heal them. So do you ignore God's command and run to science? Yeah, so do you ignore God's command and run to science every time you get sick? Not every time. Okay? And basically still run to God even if I'm going to the hospital. Okay? There are a lot of people who depend on science too much, depend on medicine too much, because everybody went to the hospital. Okay, if they kept on living on the hospital, eventually they die in the hospital, right? Alright, so physical healing is not a universal guarantee. Medicine is in the Bible. I don't run to science every time I get sick. Okay. Question 10. This is a run-on question. In other words, he wants to get 50 million questions into one, and then you can't answer it because you can't remember everything he said. Alright, let's talk about Jesus. I think it was he was getting after Jesus for getting after the money changers. Okay, so in other words, it's okay to joke about, oh, those religious hypocrites, they're so evil, that's why we don't believe in God, and then say, oh, you're getting after the hypocrites, you shouldn't do that. Alright, so Jesus was right to whip them. That's right. It was His temple, stinkers. Alright, so part B. You called a woman a dog. Okay, if you believe in evolution, then we descended to all this kind of stuff, so why would it matter to you? Alright, dogs are unclean, as was her lifestyle. Okay, Gentiles kind of live a nasty lifestyle. You might know if you are one. Okay, but it says, but what is wrong with calling someone a... Okay. Jesus insulted the Pharisees. C. Insulting the Pharisees was right. They were mocking His religion. Okay. And I do kind of address that somewhere else. Okay. I address it somewhere else. I'll get to that. Slavery. Okay. Look in the gospel. It doesn't use the word slave. It uses the word servant. Okay. Guess what? There's still servants today. If you got a job, you're a servant. Woo! Okay. Oh, I serve tables. Oh, I do this. Okay. And then you got people who are in financial debt. That is a form of slavery. That's what it was all about anyway. You owe somebody, so you work for them and you do whatever they tell you. Okay. Big whoop. But that doesn't address, oh, I was kidnapped and forced into slave labor camps. It's a different issue. Okay. And he doesn't say that. Alright, you know, Matthew 23 is saying, call no man your master, okay, but Jesus, alright. So, let's see here. So slavery, okay. He does denounce pedophilia in Matthew 18 when he talks about leading a child into sin. Read the Bible. All right. It says, oh yeah, he didn't say anything about rape. Okay. You get the Bible, and in God's law has things against rape. So guess what? He was against it too. Let's see here. G, he supports the Bible. Okay, yeah, I got that. Okay, yeah, this whole full racket thing. Okay, you got to look at a word, and you got to look. Some words have multiple definitions. Okay, so like when it comes to hit. Okay, am I going to hit you, or is that like a hit album? Okay, there's several definitions, several words, so you got to look at the context. When he's talking about raka or you fool, it refers to a spiritual brother. You're calling a brother this, okay, someone who is in the faith, and it says you call them a fool, meaning godless at heart, okay, cursing them to hell. Okay, that's what you shouldn't be doing, okay? Like, you're going to hell because I don't like you and you just bug me. Okay, no, okay, that is not a godly attitude. All right, but when we say, okay, dude, it's stupid, all right, Matthew 23:17 is referring to blind or ignorant. He's like, the blind leading the blind. That's the context, okay? It's like, stop being so stupid, okay? And that's the thing. People get stupid. You got to tell them, all right? The rod for the backs of fools is something in the book of Proverbs. And so then he gets in this whole, like, okay, no face here. Why should we emulate Jesus? Okay, well, I'd say emulate him because he's the Lord. Emulate him because he loves you, and that gives you power to live that you wouldn't find anywhere else. I really kind of like all the questions and stuff like that. I like the challenge because it makes me kind of search the word and start thinking deeper and stuff like that. So I don't have any ill will about it. But basically, you're going to waste your life. Okay, sit there and say like, okay, but I'm still mad at you, so I'm just gonna still come up with questions. I'm not dumb. I know that like I could answer these questions, answer about 500 more, and you'll still be like, oh, I don't like it. Okay, that's what I get all the time. All right, but basically, if you do care about the truth, if you don't want to waste your time, waste your life, then we can come and talk. You know where to reach me, www.biblesmack.net. Catch y'all later.